Fire doesn't always destroy us. Sometimes it transforms us. Welcome to Thriving After the Fire, where real survivors share real stories of resilience, healing, and rising from the ashes.
Michael, thanks so much for allowing us to come here and visit with you and learn more about your story. You currently work for an organization that I worked with like 15 years ago, forever ago, but we are in a courtroom right now. So tell me what it is we're doing here in the courtroom, or what do you do in this courtroom?
So it's a kind of a full circle moment for me. Once I came back home from Iraq, I got into a lot of trouble and was sentenced to prison twice out of this county.
Okay, wait. So you were a veteran.
Yes.
And you went to prison twice.
3 times.
3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Twice out of this
Twice
county? Out of this courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's crazy.
Well, it's that. So, and today I actually work for the same sheriff's office who sent me to prison.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of a crazy,
I think what's crazier
story.
is it's a full circle moment, because I literally went from being in the jail here, going to prison. I literally advocate with the same prosecutors who sent me to prison, in front of the same judge who sent me to prison.
The exact same ones. Still working today.
Advocate for people like me behind me, helping them, giving them second chances at life.
Wow.
So it's a full circle. I love it. So
that's amazing. And I bet for them, it's got to be amazing to watch you go from who you were in that moment to
So a lot of people in this
now.
county, I either got high with or sold drugs to or was in addiction with. And I think it's very important for people just starting recovery who may not know anything about recovery to see somebody who was there with them and show them the way out. And I'm blessed to be able to do that. So
that's awesome. So our podcast is, the whole intent of our podcast is to do that, is to show them, yes, you've gone through hell. You may have made mistakes, or maybe you were in an accident, or maybe something just terrible happened to you, but you can come through it, and then you can, thrive on the other side. So you're a great example of that.
I'm the story.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about yourself as a veteran, and then kind of walk us through the story.
So after September 11th, I was at the age where I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and I knew I needed to do more, but I wasn't doing it. But then after September 11th, I knew without a shadow of a doubt what I wanted to do, and that was serve my country. And my dad served, retired as a master sergeant, and so I joined the Army, went infantry, and then went to basic training in 2002. Fort Benning, came home, and it was pretty much activated to go to Baghdad, Iraq after that.
So you and I got in at the exact same time.
Really?
I joined June of 2002.
January 29th of 2002. Day before my birthday. So
very cool.
Went to Fort Benning, came home, stayed in for a little bit, and then pretty much I get the paper saying, hey, you're supposed to go to Baghdad, Iraq. So, which was an odd time because my girlfriend I was with at the time for about 8 years, we were together, got pregnant right before I left. And my son was born maybe a month or 2 before I went to Iraq, and so now I got the stress of a new mother, my wife. I got married, which is the biggest mistake of my life. And I'll be here and there. You learn to learn. You know what I'm saying? But it was kind of the right thing to do. If something would have happened to me, my son would have got nothing unless we were married. So it was kind of the right thing to do. Of course, BAH and all that comes in handy. So
we see that a lot in the military.
Yes.
Like, I know that's not necessarily a part of the story, but we do see that a lot with veterans.
Absolutely.
They want to take care of the person. They get married or do things because they feel that obligation. And then we see when they get home.
Oh, yeah.
That's that part. Sometimes, I don't know if you feel this way, but for me, and when I finally tell my story, sometimes the coming home part is harder than the being in Iraq part.
Right.
I don't know if that was the case for you.
100% was for me.
Me too.
That's where everything made sense to me, was over in Iraq. So,
yes.
But, to fast rewind, I go to Baghdad. My first job was my battalion commander's personal security team. I was pretty much his bodyguard over there.
Yep.
So, our battalion commander, everything's great. I'm assigned to the turret gunner position, which I really did not like. And of course, the turret gunners are
I would not like that one either, yeah.
And it's not that I just like to be, I wanted to be a dismount where everybody else was. And so, of course, the colonel went out, we pulled security, we walked in crowds with him, we escorted him. If, we were doing counter sniper missions on top of buildings when he was doing meetings in Baghdad. So, it was really high speed. But if you're a turret gunner, you have to stay with the vehicle.
Right.
So it kind of handcuffed you there. So I was complaining, wanted a chance to move out. And then finally we got a new guy that came into our fire team, and he volunteered and took my spot. So now I was like, everything is great. I'm at dismount. Where the action is. April 24th, 2004. We had just escorted our battalion commander from Camp Cook, or Taji, back to our FOB, which is the gunslinger. And on the way back, they walked in 13 mortar rounds that killed 3 of our guys.
I remember. One of them was my captain.
Captain Bofelder.
Captain Felder.
Yep. So.
I did not know that.
That was the day I was coming. We had just left there, and so it was.
I've been to that spot. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So. When we got back there to the FOB, we get this news, and man, all I wanted to do was call home and talk to somebody I knew, and of course the phones are cut off for 72 hours until the next of kin is contacted, so you're just kind of left in this space. And on top of that, I got a wife who's never answering the phone and doing God knows what back here, which added more to the stress I was dealing with.
That's a big thing.
Oh,
People don't realize how
terrible.
much that plays into some of the PTSD and the problems that soldiers have when
100%.
they come home. Yeah.
And so I was with that. It got really bad as further time went on. But so that was April 24th, 2004. It was on a Saturday. The next morning was April 25th, 2004. On a Sunday, we were escorting our battalion commander, and we're lost. So we had just got in country, pretty much, maybe a month or so. I don't remember how long we were there, but we just got done with the Right Sea rides, and we're on our own. So we had a 4-vehicle convoy. Battalion was the battalion commander leading the way, and he had what they called the Blue Force trackers, which was the GPS and everything at high speed in 2004.
That was very high speed.
Yeah, very high speed. You can get up to, if you get a firefight, you can get up radar. Satellite imagery. And I was like, this is 2004. I don't tell what they got
pretty
now.
Cool, yeah.
So, for all you conspiracies out there, that's no telling what they got now. But so we're lost. We're driving to Baghdad, and I kept saying, man, didn't we just pass this? And I was driving this day, which was crazy. I don't remember why I was driving, but the third time we got hit with the biggest IED I'd ever seen in my life. And I had seen a few over there, and this one was a direct hit. And, in 2004, we slowly started integrating the new Humvees with the up armor and all that. The Hummer I was in was literally from Arkansas, and it had a canvas top Humvee with sandbags and
with the sandbags, and
we welded on a bunch of metal from the boneyard in Kuwait.
I remember that.
Meth wars is what it looks like. So
so
that's the Humvee I had, but the commander was in a fully up-armored Humvee. So they started slowly integrating these throughout our tour in 2004. And anyway, we got hit with this IED, and it shot up at least 100 feet up in the air. And I was the second Humvee back, and it picked my Humvee up 3 or 4 feet off the ground.
Wow.
That's how big the explosion was.
Yeah.
And so once I hit the ground, I was shocked. I was scared. I'd say, Lisa, my team leader, he's yelling me to go, go, go. And so I'm hitting the gas. I'm driving through flames and dust and dirt. And we get on the other side. And what we was trying to do in 04 was, as soon as an IED went off, the vehicle that got hit tried to blast through. The vehicle behind it blast through it, and the other two would stop. We'd cordon off the area, and we'd start trying to trigger man.
Right.
But we found out pretty quick, just like catching a crackhead. It just don't happen. And so we pulled through, and that first Humvee that actually got hit pulled up way, way up there, and I had pulled off and stopped. It was a good maybe 50 feet in front of me. And so I pulled over, and I remember jumping out, hitting a knee, and I was scared to death. I made up new cuss words. That's how crazy it was. You know what I'm saying? I was talking real fast, and so I'm pulling security. I'm scanning my sector. I'm seeing there's an overpass, and there was an 18-foot chain link fence over here to the side. I remember seeing, and these Iraqis were coming. They were starting. The crowd was forming up on this fence, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Now I'm thinking the public education system, but subtract 1, carry the 2. We were about to be outnumbered, and so I was seeing this, and I'm scanning my sector, also keeping an eye on this crowd back here, and scared to death. I was on a knee with my M4, and then the major came down the line. His name was Gregory Pelt. I don't know if you know who he is.
I know, yeah.
So he was with me the day this
Colonel
happened,
Pelt.
and he's at UCA right now.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful man.
100% wonderful.
One
I love
of
him
the
to
best,
death. Love
one
him
of the
to
best
death.
officers I've worked with.
And
Lots of great officers.
high speed, low drag. He came down the line, and he was like, "Hey, keep your eyes open. We already got 1 KA." And so, like, that's when reality sank in, you know. So we were tight squad, and wondering what the heck is that going on. And so
we don't
know what's going on. And they were so far ahead, I had no idea what was going on. And so they called for a CLS truck. Of course, you know, combat medics were spread so thin in Iraq then, so they designated a CLS member per fire team. And I was the CLS team per my fire team.
Wow.
And Sergeant Billy Clay, he's no longer with us, but he was also a CLS. So we jump in the Humvee. He was my team leader. We pull up, and it was the craziest thing I ever pulled out on. When I finally got up there and jumped out of the vehicle, it was, I mean, god awful screams, flames. There was everything going on, and one of the sergeants had his hand up in the window. So you had two options in these up, you know, these brand new Humvees. You could either have all the windows rolled up and be safe, be burning to death, and smell like a bag of smashed up buttholes in there. You know what I'm saying? We all stink. Or you can have window down and get some airflow. So
and people don't realize how hot it is in
that
Iraq.
armor, you know, it was literally an oven.
And you've got uniforms on top of
gear, everything.
Everything else. People don't have a clue how hot it is.
So they had the window down. He had his hand in the window like this. When the IED hit, it was a 155 round, I think they said, which was packed full of ball bearings, and it was perfectly arched on the side of the road. So when it blew up and out. It was a direct hit on the Humvee. And so the ball bearings came through, hit his hand, and both his fingers were just hanging when we came up on the scene. And he calm as day, held his hand up, said, "Wrap it." And I was wigging out. I was like, I mean, how calm this guy was just crazy. So they wrap his hand up, they put him on the curb. We go back in. The driver, he was the one screaming real bad, but the ball bearings came through, hit metal, caused more shrapnel, and it went right up under his vest and filleted his back open like this. So he wouldn't allow us to take the vest off because it took this. So they had to cut his Kevlar vest, which was no easy task.
No.
And open it up, peel it back just to patch his wound, and we got him out.
Okay, so for people who don't know, a Kevlar vest is like armor.
Yeah. It's
so to cut it off,
so they had to cut it.
So hard.
And, to this day, that's adrenaline.
And in an emergency situation on top of everything else.
So we got him out, put him on the curb. We went back in. The guy in the back seat, they yelled his name. I can't tell you how many times. And he was just staring out the window, and there was ball bearings about face level in this glass, you know, the thick armor glass. And we finally got his attention. He was fine. Got him out. And the guy behind the driver's seat took shrapnel to the forehead from the metal that came in. He was fine besides that. We got him out. And then the turret gunner, you couldn't drop him through the bottom of the turret, so we jumped on top of the Humvee on the hood, and we picked him up through the turret.
To pull him out.
Pulled him on his back, and then we dropped him on the hood, then brought him to the ground, and we immediately tried to CPR to see if we could help this guy. And I had blood all over my boots. The guy who killed was the guy who volunteered took my spot.
Oh, man.
So,
a lot of survivor's guilt.
So, we tried to resuscitate him, and there was no coming back. And so we had to pick him up, and we carried him to the back of my Humvee, and we put him in the back seat of my Humvee. And we go back major, well, he was major then, Mr. Pelt. They told us to rip out all sensitive items out of the Humvee. No food, no water, no ammo, no Blue Force tracker. I mean, all of this had to come out.
Right.
And so I was pulling security in front of everything, just trying to soak all this stuff in real time, and it was just, everything was chaos. And they ripped the Blue Force tracker out. It seemed like his bare hands. I don't even know how he did this. And I just remember him throwing this Blue Force tracker, and it just skidded all the way up. And we pick it up. We get everything out of the Humvee. QRF was en route to come pick this Humvee up. So we had wounded. We had to get out of there. So now we're 3 Humvees. And Major Peltz and him get in the front. And I'm the second Humvee. And now we're driving. And, you know, everything in Iraq was a maze. There was concrete barriers, you know. We drove the one way, the wrong way. We did all this. And we pulled this place called Martyrs Monument. And as soon as we pulled in, they were like, hey, we don't have an aid station. You got to back out, go back the way you came, and go to the green zone. And so, panicking, all this is going on at the same time. Got my buddy that's in the back seat, he's dead, and my buddy Chris Davis was sitting on top of his legs, and it was crazy. We mounted back out, second Humvee again, and we go past the crash site. And when we passed the crash site, we had to make this U-turn to get back to where we wanted to go. They had stopped dead even with this Humvee and lit it up, put the hood up and lit it on fire. And the rage that we all had from seeing this. So the first Humvee stopped and he opened fire and started taking everybody out. Everyone started running. I was the second Humvee, so I went ahead and made that loop. Third Humvee came in. He was laying rounds down. He gets in the back, and then the first Humvee was leading the convoy. Backs up. Now I'm the lead Humvee. I'm driving, and when you're the driver, your job is to get out of that AO. And I'm panicking. I have no idea where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just, everything was chaos. And so the big boss of the back Humvee, he's on the talk to our fob. They're telling him where to go. He then gets on another radio, relays it to my team leader, which then relays it to me all in real time. So that was a
under
cluster.
a lot of stress.
I have no idea. It was
Don't
crazy.
know where you are. Everything's crazy.
So I'm screaming, where am I going? Where am I going? Where am I going? And he's still waiting, to tell us where to go. And at the last minute, he says, turn right. So as I was turning right, it was like all these buildings, and it was a market area. So there was people literally on the street everywhere. Hundreds of people on both sides of the street. So as soon as we made that right-hand turn, I see a dude jump up from the rooftop with an AK. I yell, AK, 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 and the firefight started from there. So I'm in a canvas top hood. I'm waiting for a round to come in and hit us. I mean, it was crazy. I'm seeing it hit the Humvees, and it was the hoods, and this up armor kit we had an opening that went across the back, all the way across the back with the canvas top in with the up armor kit. We had the up armor doors. So there was an opening. So I'm driving. I have my M4 out the window. I'm pulling the trigger. I see, everything was going, it felt like 30 minutes, but it wasn't. Everything was going so crazy. I'm seeing my team leader. He's hanging out the window. He's busting around, hitting people on these rooftops. And then my buddy Chris Davis is in the back seat, and all of us are firing inside this Humvee with no ear protection, so it was loud.
Oh.
And he had a SAW, which is a squad automatic weapon, 250 round drum, 5.56. So he had that thing stuck out like this, and he was just spraying from building to building as we was driving through, just laying down suppressive fire.
Wow.
And all those rounds, I don't know if you've ever been hit with a hot shell, but
yes,
those hot shells were coming
and burning,
and going down my collar and burning the hell out of my neck. And so
so you have all that noise.
Yes.
You've got the hot shells going into your shirt. You don't know where you are. You guys are under fire. This is...
And I'm laying down rounds, 3-round bursts, my team leaders, all these rounds. So I remember leaning my helmet back to stop it and just hearing the brass ring off my helmet. It was crazy. I mean, it felt like 30 minutes, but it was like maybe 5-6 minutes getting out of there. And I hit a car. And, like I said, it's my job to get out of this area of operations. So I'm ramming this car to get out of there. I ended up having to back out and go around, and then we got out of there. We got out of there safe. We pulled in this place at the green zone, and they were already waiting on us out there with stretchers. It was a big thing that happened. So we pull in, and still everything's really not even catching up what's going on. My mind's not processing it. You know what I'm saying? So I get out. I just remember seeing the blood all in the back seat, all in the floorboard, and we paid our final respects to Kenneth. His name's Kenneth Melton. Great man, a good hero. And I had to come back, and then we had a combat stress team come in, and they interviewed us. And back then, I wasn't really a Dr. Philly kind of guy talking. And so I didn't want to talk to any of these guys, you know what I'm saying? And, we had to give our name, rank, social security number, and tell them what happened. And I just didn't have any talk to any of these guys. And I remember even the doctor who was on our side was a Muslim doctor. And this was so close-minded I was back then. I had so much anger towards this guy. Like, how could you be for something that just, what I just seen, So I couldn't comprehend as I was a young kid.
Yeah.
And so I get back, and I was told to take the Humvee to go get it cleaned out. And so I drive to this place, and it was first AD, I think, was still there. I think that's who we replaced, second AD or third AD. I don't remember which one it was. But so as soon as I pull up, they've been through this before, and man, they open the doors up. They got big green, simple green, and they're spraying everything, and they're getting the power pressure washer, and it just, I was in my feelings. I was like, this is my buddy's blood. Where's the respect? So they clean it out, and I take the Humvee back, and then I was told to go through every bit of this man's stuff, which was an even more slap to my face, because I had to read all his mail. I had to go through all his pictures. I had to, everything I had to go into. So I was invading this man's privacy. And, they took and there could be disgrace on his family's name, the Army. So everything had to go that wasn't, So we get all that done. We get everything packed up, send it back home to his wife. And so that started out my tour, pretty much.
Wow.
And we lose 3 more guys after that. And meanwhile, back home, I'm having a shitstorm back home. I'm sorry, I don't know if you can cuss, but...
it's our podcast. We can do whatever you want.
So, my wife is cheating on me. My wife is spending all my money. And the state... So I was working for my colonel, so the Van Pelt's. And the state command sergeant major flew to Iraq to have a meeting. Now, just imagine how my surprise that I was actually a part of this conversation, because my wife was getting emergency relief saying that I abandoned my kid and that I wasn't paying for my kid. And your Army don't, 2 things. You can't beat your wife and you don't pay for your kids.
Oh, no. We do not play about that.
I was so humiliated to know that the state command sergeant flew all the way to Iraq, and I was a part of this conversation, because she was going around getting $2,500 here, doing all this.
So she was getting donations and things like that?
She threw emergency relief fund for the National Guard because I had abandoned my child, which is not true. So, thankfully, my mom was keeping a paper trail. This is the important lesson I learned from paper trails, was from this. And so when my colonel called me in his office, I just felt like a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to convince this guy, like, man, I'm doing this, and I'm sure he probably believed me, but I felt like it took 3 weeks to a month to get mail. So once I was able to call home and say, hey, I need all these documents, for like 3 weeks to a month, I felt like this guy would think I was a piece of shit the whole time.
Right. And the last thing you want to focus on while you're in the middle of combat is trying to get some paperwork from home. Yeah. I can't even imagine.
So, so she was cheating on me. Ended up I got the paperwork in and was able to show my commander what was going on. And first Father's Day, I call home, another dude answers my phone, and it was just a nightmare. And so my wife had got on drugs, and 8 years of knowing a person, I did not even know who she was anymore. That's how bad she had transformed.
And was this while you were gone? She was on drugs?
No, she started to get strung out after I left. And I guess, post-mortem, after having the baby, whatever the case may be, I don't know what it is. But she got strung out, and I didn't even know who she was anymore. And
wow.
So I'm in Iraq, I'm dealing with all this, and I ended up getting kicked off the personal security team for showing too much aggression toward the Iraqis. And I got put back on the line unit, which is where I was comfortable with anyway, to be honest with you. Go infantry. But I get woke up one night, and of course I had a lot of crazy stories that happened over there, but I get woke up one night and says, hey, pick a ship, you're fixing to go home. And my wife had abandoned my child. So I was sent home before the rest of my guys was, and which made me feel like a piece of shit anyway. Because I felt like I'm leaving my guys to go home, and I did not even want to deal with this shit.
It wasn't your choice. Yeah. And you've got an emergency situation you're trying to deal with.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really hard thing for a veteran to do.
So I come home in the middle of the night. No one even knew I was coming back. I got custody of my kid. I got my car back. And I was smart enough to know that I was not in a position to be a full-time mom and dad coming home from combat. So I left him with the grandparents that was watching him, and that's when I fell. So I don't think Arkansas was ready for the influx of soldiers coming back with the multitude of problems they were going to have.
No.
I mean, I know for a fact they weren't.
Our unit had such catastrophic damages in that deployment. They even study it now in War College. They have courses just on the 39th.
Oh my gosh.
How we operated and, the repercussions, not just the negative, but also the positive. How we overcame certain things that a regular Army unit didn't have. So yeah, you're 100% right. The state of Arkansas, through no fault of their own, we weren't prepared. National Guard wasn't used to.
Yeah, that's 100%.
Yeah, this was like
all uncharted waters, all new.
Very brand new for a National Guard
I get back
unit.
and I was lost. And so when I tell my story, I tell it like my pride and ego is what destroyed me. Infantry guys got pride and ego anyway. And when I came home, it was like I was not a Dr. Philly type tell people my emotions. So I kept everything to myself, which was never good. And so I kept telling myself, well, I'll just get myself back to who I was before I went to Iraq. And I'll tell you, my dad told me before I left, he said, son, you're going to go to war, you're going to come back and you're going to think everybody else has changed. But in reality, it's going to be you that's changed.
Wow, that was insightful.
And I didn't understand what he meant till I came home. So, sorry. So I'm trying to get back to the man I was before I went to Iraq, going to work every day, coming home the same woman, paying my bills on time, and doing all this. And it's like the further I tried to get back to that guy, the further lost I got. So at some point, I had come to the realization that I was chasing a ghost, and that person's no longer here, and he's not coming back. So I got involved in math. That was not one of my smartest decisions I ever made in my life, but it worked at first, and it did its job.
I was going to say, is it more self-medicating than anything, right?
So, math helped me desensitize from my emotions.
Yep.
It helped me detach. It helped me, I don't worry about nightmares. I wasn't sleeping. Everything, whatever draws you into addiction, the lie that gets you there. So while the guys were fighting the war back over there, I'm getting strung out over here, and I'm getting lost. And I didn't even know who I was anymore. And now I'm shooting up meth. Now I'm cooking meth. By the time the rest of my guys come back, they didn't even know who the hell I was anymore. That's how bad I was. So I fell through the cracks, literally fell through the cracks when I came back home from that emergency leave, and never heard anything from the 39th, never heard anything to VA, never heard anything about nothing. And I'm not saying it's their fault. I mean, my pride and ego would have kept me from going to get help anyway, but...
Well, and they weren't prepared to give the help. They had never been through anything like this, and so you can train all day, but a National Guard unit was not used in those ways before. So even though we do the training for it, we still don't have all the supports for what we don't know is going to happen afterwards.
So I probably literally was the first one who came home that I knew of that came back, and I literally fell through the crack. And no one reached out to me, no one called me, no one did nothing, and by the time the rest of the guys came back, I was already a full-blown junkie. I don't know if you know who Keith Wilson is, but Keith Wilson was my commander, and I love him to death. Good man.
Great guy.
And it was actually him who actually called my mom and said, "Where's Springer at?" And she's like, "I don't know, da-da-da." She said, "Well, find him and tell him he better get his ass in a rehab. And if he leaves before he completes it, then I got a warrant for his arrest. I'm going to arrest him and put him in jail." So it was ultimately Keith who helped me. So I go to treatment. Of course, I was so young, still full-blown junkie.
How old are you at this point?
Probably 24.
Wow. I can't imagine having to deal with all that at the age of 24.
It was nuts. I came back, went to treatment, completed it, went and met Keith, and he was a Sherwood police officer.
Yeah.
Went and showed him, and I caught a charge, and he really went to bat for me here in Lonoke. My first charge was here in Lonoke, and he came. He didn't have to. and he really went to bat for me. I was just really I was too grateful to understand what was going on for me. Most people are, you know.
Well, you weren't really in the right frame of mind to
totally
appreciate anything in that moment.
Right. So ultimately, I got probation due to his help, and then ended up catching a slew of more charges, and I ended up going to prison too. Lonoke County my first time in 2008. So now I'm in prison, and you know, I'm thinking to myself, well, they're not gonna lock up an American hero, you know, they didn't believe it out of me. So I go to prison first time, 16 felonies, large habitual offender, first time down.
Ouch.
And we're talking drugs and violent charges. I end up doing close to 4.5 years in prison my first time down. And, you know, to a normal person, you would think that would have been enough. So I got out, and I did good for a while. I'll tell you, this is what I tell everybody. I used to have a problem of blocking things out. I had a rough childhood, and you develop a defense mechanism called blocking stuff out. Mm-hmm. And so I had the ability to do that really well, mastered it by the time I was in that age group from when I was a kid. So all this stuff that was going on, like meth, I'm sitting there telling myself, I would never touch meth again. Why would I go back to it? It destroyed me, ruined my career, ruined my job, everything, took everything from me. Why would anybody go back to that? So that whole time I was in prison, I told myself that, and I never thought about it. You know, so I didn't. Anytime something come up, I would block it back out. You know, why would I do this? And so I'm thinking to myself, hey, you're fine.
You're good.
So 4 years not working on me, not doing anything to help it. As soon as I got that parole in the mail, I had subconsciously caught myself looking for veins in my arm that quick. So looking back,
hadn't even had anything else come up.
4.5 years.
Hadn't been exposed. Nothing.
You know, no dreams. I didn't thought about nothing. I haven't done nothing. As soon as I got that parole in the mail, said you've been granted parole, I subconsciously caught myself looking for veins. So I had already relapsed before I actually relapsed.
Before you even had a chance.
Right. So I get out, and I didn't relapse. I did good. You know, went to college, got enrolled in college, started going to Pulaski Tech. They got full custody of my son. So I'm with my son again. And the mom's still out there doing her thing at the time, and then I meet this girl, and that's when everything went downhill. And it's not her fault; it's totally my fault. But I said to myself, "She has a problem with pills. Well, I don't do pills. I'll be fine. You know, my problem is meth. I'll be able to help her out." And you know, that was the dumbest thing I ever said in my life. So
an addiction is an addiction is an addiction.
So I ended up going back
right.
out. Yeah.
The majority of people would look at a pill addiction completely different.
For a method. And so addiction is addiction. I didn't even have my addiction under control. You know what I'm saying? So I was never tested. You know what I'm saying? It just took one test and I failed it. And you know, I'm the type of person, as soon as I get a piece of dope in me, I don't stop till I hit diagnostics in prison. That's just who I am. I go balls to the wall. So it's like as soon as I get high, all my goals and ambitions I had immediately go out the window, and I have a new one that's called I never want to come down again. I got to stay high.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started cooking and doing all this crap again, getting back involved in that. And so I relapsed. Everything went downhill. My bills were paid weeks in advance. Now my bank account's in negative. Now everything's going to hell again. It's like overnight. And I ended up going to prison again on simultaneous. And so back.
Tell us what simultaneous.
Simultaneous is gun and drugs. So I get caught on that. I ended up beating the simultaneous charge, but I still went down for the dope charge. And like I said, I'm going back to prison again, not learning nothing. And I've been going to the VA in between all this. So I didn't know anything about compensation. I didn't know anything about benefits. You know, my pride and ego told me, you know, this is something I voluntarily signed for. So this is what got me. My ego and pride would not allow me to sit in front of another person who probably didn't have hair on his chin, never was in combat, never was in the military, and complain about something I voluntarily raised my hand up and signed up for. My pride would not let me do that. And that kept me in darkness for years. And I go to prison again. When I got out, I was out the gate by 8 and spoon by noon, so they call it. I go on another run again, and by this time Keith Wilson just kind of washed his hands with me. You know, everyone is kind of, you know, I don't blame anyone.
They've done everything they
they've done everything they could.
You're not taking
it really hurt my heart, but it was like, hey, I understand, I get it. And so I burnt every bridge that was there, and no regard, you know, just somebody in addiction. So I get out of prison that last time. I get busted again. In 2017, I got busted with 197 grams of meth in Cabot. And so I get busted with that, and every time I went down, it progressively got bigger and bigger and deeper in the game.
So back up a second. 197 grams of meth. How much is that, like, in money-wise, or how many people would get high off of that, for people who don't know anything about
drugs? A lot. So, I mean, it was close to a half a pound of dope. So, lots of money at that time. Of course, it's super cheap now here, but it was a lot. It was a lot. And they tried to get me for drug trafficking right here in Lonoke, which the state law says 200 grams or more, you're considered a drug trafficker. So I beat them by 3 grams.
Wow. And you were right there.
On the cusp. And so...
in this very courtroom.
In this county right here, yes. And so I go to prison again, and this is where everything changed for me. A sobering experience for me was to think that, I raised my right hand. I swore to protect the enemies, foreign and domestic. Protect foreign and domestic. I go to a country of people who did not like me, who did not want me there. I fought for their freedom and aspiration and freedom too. And then I come home and have my own dumbass strip that freedom away. It was a very sobering experience for me.
Oh, wow.
So...
I never thought about it that way.
When I get to thinking about Kenneth, and I'm thinking, man, I was not doing this guy any justice at all. I mean, I'm on the life installment plan in and out of prison. And what justice am I doing for Kenneth Mountain, who was a father of 3, great man. So all this was happening to me right at the right time, and I wanted to change. That was it. So right here in this jail, I gave my life to God, and that was really the last thing I tried, the first thing that worked. And I've done AA, I've done all that. And I'm not to say that they don't work. I know a lot of people that
it wasn't working for you in that moment.
But I didn't give it 100% to say if it would work. But I was so beat down at this point that I prayed to God to deliver me from the obsession of using meth. And it worked. And I can't explain it to this day. I have no idea. You got to understand, I was shooting dope in my neck 5 or 6 times a day in my neck. 50 or 60 units, bumps, at one day, every day.
Wow.
And to go from that obsession, how crazy it was, to nothing, I never thought was possible. So in this jail, I go to prison this last time, and I'm in Dermot. And while I'm in prison, I'm working horse barn, which it's Ho Squad. And, you go work every day when you're on Ho Squad. And I grab the horses, and I take them back to the horse barn when they turn in. Well, while I'm down there, one of the guards, who was a guard here at the time when I was here, his name was Nathan Rice. He's a detective now. He became transport, and he was transporting an inmate back down to prison. He sees me, so we start talking. He says, hey, man, they started this program called the PACT program at the sheriff's office, man. He says, man, you will be great. When you get back, you should look into it. And I said to myself, well, they started this program after I get sentenced to prison? I mean, what the hell, But I wasn't qualified for it, the amount of dope I got busted with. But so that was a goal I had in my mind.
So what is the PACT program?
So PACT program is Peers Achieving Collaborative Treatment.
Oh,
and it
peer
is,
support type.
Yes, and it was a new concept. Sheriff Staley here was the first sheriff in the state of Arkansas to even start this program.
Wow.
And so, so it really took, I love Sheriff Staley to death. I mean, the stuff he's did. He's got a huge heart for people in recovery settings. But he'll also, put you in prison too. But he wants you to get help. That's his job. So he's hard on crime, but once you get busted and you do that, if you want to change your life, he'll offer that avenue, which is great.
That's what we need.
You can't have a real conversation about lowering recidivism without this being a part of the conversation.
Right.
So that's my goal. I get out of prison. And of course, I had no one would believe in me. I don't doubt anyone, or why. I didn't even believe in myself. You know what I'm saying? So no one. I had a lot to prove. Let's just say that. And so, the girl I was with at the time, I told her, and this is not jailhouse talk. I just told her my plan one time, and I was so tired of hearing the stuff coming out of my mouth that I didn't even want to hear it no more. I was fed up with my own shit.
Right.
So I told her one time what my plan was. I'm done. I'm not going back. This is what I plan to do, and I never spoke on it again. And so when I got out, I stuck to it. And so I moved to BB. I got out of Cabot, moved away from everybody. And of course, that wasn't enough. You know, I knew from the past mistakes looking back that if you don't work on yourself, you're not doing nothing. You're pissing in the wind. You know what I'm saying? So this was my problem. I knew I could get clean, I couldn't stay clean. And so that was the issue. So I was smart enough to know. I got out of one institution and I went and checked myself in the VA at the PTSD inpatient program. And went from one institution to another. And I was smart enough to know.
So did somebody tell you to do that, or did you kind of figure that out on your own?
So I knew about the inpatient program. I've already taken it twice before. But my problem was I would never open up. I'd never get transparent. So if I'm not working on nothing, there was nothing that would be solved.
Right. You can go through the system over and over. It's not going to do you good.
And it's not going to do me any good. And it didn't do me any good because I didn't take advantage of any. The VA is great. They are 100% great. But if you do not open up and get transparent, you're wasting your time.
Right.
So this last time I go to the VA, I check myself in. I do the inpatient. At the end, I got out in October of 2019. And went to January, day before my birthday, I graduated the program. That's when COVID started, by the way, right after that. So I get out, and that's when everything changed for me. Remember I told you that I couldn't see myself sitting in front of a dude that didn't have hair on his chin, probably never. That's who ultimately ended up saving me. So, no, it looked like he was 16 years old. I mean, how young this kid was. And so I had to do this CBT. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I had to sit in a room with this guy. And like I said, I'm not a Dr. Philly guy at this point in time in my life. I didn't talk about stuff. And so I had to go from the most traumatic event, which was April 25th, 2004, is where everything started. And I had to start from my earliest recollection all the way to the end.
Ooh. And
I had to say this over and over. And I'm thinking about it. I tell them, why do you want me thinking about that? I don't even want to think about this. You know what I'm saying?
So re-traumatizing. Why would I want to do this?
Why am I doing this? You know what I'm saying? So not only that, I had to have a phone, and it was recording on my phone, and I would have to go to my room at night and replay it over and over. And I'm just like, I didn't understand what this was about. I thought this was torture.
Wow, yeah,
and so,
I would think so too.
But it all started making sense when it said, you know, when you was a kid, you watched a scary movie, you're scared to death. The more you watched it, you're no longer scared of it. And that's when everything clicked for me. So the thought of the story I just told you, I would have to go put one in me. No offense about that. I could not bear the thought of thinking about it, of the bitching and complaining I did to him volunteer to take my spot. And I couldn't do it. And so the more times I told it, the more times it was empowering me, and I was taking the power back from the darkness that consumed me from this. So I made a goal. I never seen his grave. You know, his wife has been the biggest cheerleader and supporter for me all the way through my addiction.
Wow.
And she believed in me when I couldn't even believe myself. And so I made a goal that I was going to go see his grave, and I was going to, you know, get some closure. So I'm out of the VA now, and of course I said that because COVID happened, and so I'm back home now. And the devil's playground, idle time's the devil's playground.
Right.
And so I'm not working. I'm service connected at this point. I'm like 70-80%. And
isolation.
Oh yeah, I'm back home now, and I'm just back at square one. And I just knew that this was not a pattern I need to get back into. And so this girl named Michelle Puckett, I don't know if you remember her or not.
I do.
Okay, so Michelle was kind of funny story. My wife at the time's brother, wife, they were related. And she always said, you would be great as a WAT 22 responder. I want to get you involved in WAT 22.
Really?
And I was like, you know. So in reality, I had lost my mission and purpose in life. And when I lost my mission, you just isolate and you find things that will become your mission and purpose. And that,
Yes.
what I found, almost put me in the grave in prison multiple times. So now trying to live life without these substances was the problem. And so next thing I know, I'm getting calls from guys I served with I haven't spoken to in 15 years. And at the time, I was like, what the hell's going on? I'm glad to hear from them, but I haven't heard from these guys forever. And they're kind of like interrogating me over the phone. And I'm just like, bro, I'm not doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing good, da-da-da. And then I get a call from Michael Brooks. So me and Michael Brooks served in combat together. We was in the same platoon. And
Michael Brooks, for those that don't know, he's the founder of We Are the 22, which is designed just to
Veteran Suicide Intervention Team
to intervene with veterans that are struggling with suicide. Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that anybody who's been in the trenches, that if you come out on the other side of that, of recovery or anything the case may be, you'll be filled with empathy and compassion for those that are struggling.
Yes.
You could literally just look at someone and you could say, I know exactly where you are because I've been there. And that's, you can't buy that, it can't be duplicated, it's the real deal.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
And so I had that going for me, which I didn't know at the time. And so Michael Brooks went to the board, unbeknownst to me, I don't know this. I have 24 felonies. He goes to the board and begs for me to get on this board in the organization.
To not just work with them, but
actually
be on
the board. Which was
a
huge liability on Michael Brooks' part, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Because statistically speaking, I would do good for a while, then I'd crash out and go back to prison. I wouldn't even believe me. You know what I'm saying? So, but God, man, I'm telling you, just these doors are open. Everything just started happening for me at this point in time. So I just get out of the VA hospital. A guy here running the PACT at the time, he said, hey, man, why don't you come up here and tell your story? So I come up here and told my story. And the two detectives that busted me, I happened to see in the hallway. And they took a picture of me right out here in the hallway.
Really?
And they posted it on the Lonoke County Sheriff's Facebook page. Well, the sheriff saw it, and sheriff got furious because he was still being told that I was still selling dope, which I was not. And I had nothing to do with anything.
Oh, no.
So I didn't know this. He's like, he does not need to be up at the sheriff's office because he was being told I was still selling drugs. And I wasn't. And so Michael Brooks calls me in the meantime, and he calls me one day and says, hey, man, I want you to be a responder for Lot 22. Come with me. And so that was the game changer for me. That was the second chance I needed, that I was allowed to find my mission and purpose again. And it gave me that drive to understand, my first year I went on 16 responses. I would say 85 to 90% of those were substance abuse related, so it's right in my realm. And so I was in my element. I loved it, and they made me responder of the month. Of course, you got to understand this. I went to prison the first time. I come out, there's touchscreen phones, there's Facebook. I didn't know what the hell was going on in the world, so I didn't really know a lot about Facebook at the time, social media, because I had spent half my adult life in prison, in and out. And so, anyway, he makes this big, long post and blasts it out. And I get a call from Sheriff Staley one day on Messenger. And I came up here 3 times. Remember I told you Rice said, hey, you need to get involved in this PACT program.
Right.
So I came up here trying to talk to him. I got denied all 3 times. Somebody said, Sheriff's not here. I'll let him know your call. I came up here. And so that's when I was like, God, if that's not what you want me to do, just tell me what I need to do. That's when I went to the VA. That's when I got out. Now I'm in Lot 22. I've been doing this for a while. And I look back now, I think God was like, I'm going to use you, but you're not there yet. You're not ready. So this was my problem. I had to go to the VA to get to that point. Anybody can be clean, but I had to get me right before I could pour into somebody else. And so it was a game changer. The VA saved my life when I went up there and did this. And I took advantage of it. I opened up, got transparent, I cried, and just laid everything out, and it was the best thing that ever happened in my life, which is the big part of why I'm able to be so vocal about it today, is because of what happened there. I get involved in this PACT. Now, I'm 100% at this time, so everything I do is volunteer. I'm up here like a full-time job.
Yeah, I thought you worked here full-time.
No, I am here full-time, but I don't get paid for nothing. So, but which is fine. I believe God pulled me out of that fire. It wasn't for me to sit here and do nothing with it. And it was for me to go back in and help others. And so that's what I've been doing ever since. And thankfully, to Sheriff John Staley, who gave me the platform to be able to give back to a community I was trying to destroy.
Wow.
So I get here, I mean, I hit it off. I'm seeing people, every day I come in here, I go to the jail, and I'm seeing people I used to get high with, and it's just a further reminder of why I'm doing what I'm doing every day. And so I get to the courts, and the same prosecutors were kind of standoffish, parole officers were 100%. And I've got all their personal numbers now. They call me all the time, say, hey, I need you to come up here and interview this guy or interview this person. And the judge who sent me to prison last, I have his personal number. I go speak at his graduations for drug court.
Oh,
I mean, it's just full circle moment all the way around, 100%. And so I'm still doing WAT 22. And then Michael Brooks, he had the brain surgery. He had a lot of problems going on, and he kind of hinted at, hey, man, would you be the president of this organization one day? I was like, I was like, yeah, bro. I didn't think nothing about it. 8 months later, they vote me in to be the president of this organization. So now I'm the president of We Are the 22. I'm a peer up here.
And running the PACT.
And running the PACT, help run the PACT program. And what the PACT program is an alternative sentencing program. So basically what that means is people who've been to prison multiple times, clearly prison's not working. And so we go into it like an in-depth. It's a year-long program. And what's great about this, what separates this from everyone, is that you're just not another number. You come in, you get sentenced, you'll be housed here in the jail for the first 120 days. You'll do big groups with me, Candace, and all the other people. NA, AA, we offer multiple pathways. What works for you may not work for me.
Right.
We want to best see what fits you. And then once your 120 days is done, we then require you to go to a transitional living. And every 30 days, we are sitting down with you. We are setting goals. We are in your life the entire time. And when we first started, it was 90 days and going home. And, of course, 90 days is not enough time to demo years of addiction. And plus, us sending you back into the environment which got you here, we're setting you up for failure.
Exactly, yeah.
So when we're thinking about recidivism, and when you're thinking about all the problems that people face is, you're going to $1,000 of fines, you're going to have to suspend a driver's license, parole officer expecting you to still come see him, even with a suspended driver's license, all this is going on. Mm-hmm. So we require you to go to transitional living, you sit there, you save your money up, you pay your fines down, you get your driver's license back, you do all these things, so when you do get out on your own.
Building you back up step by step.
And when you do get out and graduate, at least you'll be in the even instead of in the negative. And that's been lowering the number of recidivism we're seeing here in Lonoke County.
This makes so much sense. So I have a foster son who is in and out of prison, and that is the biggest setup for failure is he gets out. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have a driver's license because he doesn't know where he lost it the last time. And he can't get a job. And then he doesn't have a way to pay for all these things set him up for failure. And so then he does return to the same exact crime and lifestyle. So you're exactly right.
It's easier for us to just throw our hands up and go back to what we know. Even though it's chaos, that's what we're used to. And
you just can't catch a break.
Right.
Like,
and
how are you supposed to succeed?
As soon as you start, and it's the biggest problem I have with the system. Prison's a necessary force. I believe in prison.
I agree.
We need it. But helping these people get back on their feet, doing all this, it takes a lot of stress off them. We've lowered the recidivism rate. Now, when we first started this here, we was called the Hug-a-Thug program. We were called
Hug-a-Thug.
everything you can imagine. Sheriff Staley was called everything but his name.
So is this his program?
He started this. He was the first sheriff in the state to cover this. Now there's 11 counties in the state that does something like this. Of course, in each city is going to be different. What demographics are different, so it's not going to all look the same. But 11 places have started something off this program.
Wow.
And so everything's changed in my life. I never thought I would be where I'm at today. I never thought I would amount to anything. I never thought I would be anything. I never thought I would be with anybody. And I'm just telling you, God has been opening doors for me left and right. I finally met a woman who's never done drugs, who has never done anything wrong, just square, totally 100%. And she's a registered nurse and by trade and fully independent and, genuine love. I mean, I've never been loved by anybody, and I never thought that was going to be possible. All I knew was the dope game. That's it.
I love that.
And so we got married, and I've been with her, and it's like everything is just, it's been great. And so we went to England. She had to go to England to work. She's a registered nurse, but she works for a company called Epic, and they do IT. She's a systems analyst for Children's Hospital. She's been there like 18 years. And they opened a new hospital up. They started getting Epic in England. So naturally, I got to go with her to England, and I actually ran into Kirk Lane in England. What's the odds of this? And this guy,
in England, Arkansas, or England, the country?
England, the country. London.
You went to my home country.
London, yes. So I love that country, by the way. It's very nice. So I'm in London, and Kirk Lane, who used to be Group 6, so in translation, he was the boogeyman for people like me in selling dope. He was a monster at getting folks.
Oh.
So he was the head of the narcotics drug task force, Group 6 in Little Rock, Placer County. And so it was the going joke. I ended up running into him in London.
Oh, that's crazy.
And his wife does the same thing I do. She works for like UAMS, I think. And here I am. I run into Kirk Lane in London.
Oh,
England.
what a small world.
And I was like, if I was still in my addiction, bro, I would be tripping right now.
Yeah.
Like, you are relentless. You know what I'm saying? So
you followed me all the way here.
Then the reality started in, well, if you're still getting high, you wouldn't be in England anyway. So, so common sense logic started coming in.
Right,
so
right.
we sit down, we have this conversation. He says, hey, man, he knew I work for veterans, and I have a passion for this. And he said, man, I got this gig coming up that I think you would be great at. I said, okay. He says, he's pushing the Narcan. Saying, well, I'll give you $20,000 worth of Narcan. You give me the numbers. You be your own boss.
It's the same guy that I worked with.
And
yeah.
and then we'll be great. I said, hey, man, that sounds great. I would love to do that. So we got back. He says, let me make sure they're legit. I'm going to connect y'all. So she ended up calling me about a month later after I got back. And we went and had lunch. And I kind of told her my story and told her what things was going on. And just things took off from there. So this call to duty is for veterans who are struggling with addiction, who's lost their mission and purpose in life. And a lot of veterans, you would be surprised, well, you probably know, that don't even know the VA exists or what programs they have available for them.
Or don't want to go.
Right.
Like they're not even open-minded enough to go. For legitimate reasons. They hear a lot of horror stories.
All the time I hear it.
Yeah.
And so Mike Ballard, I don't know if you know him from the VA.
Yep. Worked very closely
really
with
good
him
friends
with
with
the
him.
Veterans Mental Health Council.
Right. So I was on the executive mental health council for the VA. So I'm on that. And Mike Ballard's a great man. 100% love him to death. He's retired now.
Oh,
so,
is he? Yeah, him and Dr. Koo were amazing for the veterans.
So Guido, I don't know if you know who Guido is.
I know of him.
He was my first social worker when I first went to VA when I came back from Iraq.
Yes, he was in several meetings. I didn't get to know him very well.
He always had the long hair or whatever. He's now the Michael Ballard spot. So, so I've been there sitting there talking with him. And so what we're doing is we're going to these rural parts of the state, and we're letting them know about the VA, and we're getting people enrolled, and we're getting, I've been fighting for these vets, and so I'm yelling with Mike because, you only got so X amount of beds, and, I'm bringing people to you all the time, and you don't even have a place for them to go, and this is fitting all the time, and this is crazy. You can't tell someone to go home and say, give me 30 days, because that's a possible death
I have 30
sentence.
days to get this person
so,
help.
so we got, but...
And they want to go now.
Yeah.
They might not want to go in 30 days.
If someone's ready to go, you got to take advantage of that. Right then. So, anyway, so, been dealing with Mike Ballard with Call to Duty. I get with the drug director now. His name's Tom Fisher. He gives me 10,000 kits of Narcan. And I'm just like, I have to stop and pinch myself a lot. I'm just thinking, I am in meetings with drug directors. I've helped with the Governor's Challenge team. I have met with all these people, and I'm just like, I literally went from prison to doing this stuff. This is crazy.
On drugs.
And it's like, do they even know who I am? Because if they knew who I was, I wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm now with the Attorney General. I do Narcan trainings for all the new law enforcement coming out of the elite academies.
Wow.
And so we do that all over the state. And I literally, with the 10,000 kits, we go around the state and we train service members, veterans, and their families with Narcan. So the problem is we know the veteran population has been affected by the opioid addiction, but we don't know because there's literally no forms. If someone goes to overdose, are you a veteran? So we have no idea to keep the numbers, but we know they're affected. Yeah. So I'm working with John Staley, who's now the sheriff of the President's Association, of trying to get adopting that language into these forms and trying to get something so we can start getting some data on these veterans.
Oh, that's great.
And so, anyway, so I'm doing all this, and I'm with Call to Duty with Jody Bergstrom, and she's really been, I've been to Secretary ADVA, I mean, I'm in all these cool meetings, and meeting all these, rubbing elbows, all these cool people, and I go to this event in Saline County, and the governor's there. Now, I've been with the governor several times, but I've never said anything to her. It was time and place. You know, I really didn't want her knowing who I am, because what are you doing here? You know, so I don't know if you know the new tag, General Bridges.
I'm not very familiar with him.
Chad Bridges, no. General Chad Bridges. He's the new tag. He was at the event with us, and
I might know of him, but I don't know him.
He was actually my commander in Iraq. So when Keith Wilson,
was he with the 39?
Yes, he was. Okay. He was with us over there.
I know his name. I don't think I ever served.
So half of the rotation, Keith was our commander. Then they put Bridges in there to be the commander to get him some combat experience, and so they kind of switched roles up. So he's on the right of the governor. I'm on the left of the governor, and as soon as we get done with the photo, he says, "Governor, I'd like to introduce you to Michael Springer. He was one of my troops who served together in Iraq." And she goes, "Oh yeah, what year?" And so we get into this conversation. I'm thinking to myself, I will never be introduced by a general again for the rest of my life. I'm fixing to.
This is the coolest thing on earth.
I'm fixing to shoot my shot right here.
Yeah.
So I said, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you, maybe possible about a pardon. You know, I've changed my life. I gave her this elevator speech. Yes. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking advantage of the moment." And she said, "Mike, I'll tell you what." She said, "Get some stuff together, give it to the general. He'll put it directly on my desk." That was the best news I could have heard. Yes, ma'am, absolutely, 100%. So I go get some stuff together, and I have a meeting with General Bridges, and I go meet him, and he takes my parole packet, and he takes it, gives it right to the governor, and then the governor sends it to Pine Bluff, and then Pine Bluff does their thing. It's got to go through the whole process, and then I get a letter from the governor, from ADC saying, "We are sending your pardon application to the governor with merit, with recommendation of full pardon."
What?
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm waiting now on the governor. She has 9 months or 240 days from that to do that. So
that's happening right now?
It's in motion right now. And so the biggest hurdle was from ADC. You got to understand, 24 felonies. I'm telling you, that's how God works. You know, they don't even want to talk to you unless you've been out 7 to 10 years off paper. And I've only been off paper since 22. And here is 25, and they've already gave me full merit with pardon sent to the governor.
But your work speaks to that.
Right. And I had drug directors, I've had senators, I've had sheriffs, judges, prosecutors, all write character letters for my behalf. And so, I came in with a stacked powerhouse in that. So, but my goal is in all this, and I've had talks with Senator Crowlark from Little Rock. He's a Democrat, and I've been on Senator Kim Hammer's radio show a couple of times, and I really want to sit down with him to see if I can get some bipartisan. This is what my goal is. If I get the pardon, like I was telling you, that none of us have an incentive to do what's right. There are some states that once you go so many X amount of years, your felony falls off. And so I wanted to see if we could adopt something into our state that says that says that, and no violence, or whatever the case may be, no sex charges, no murder charges, but if you got drug charges, theft charges, or anything like that, it's going to hinder you. And if you go, 7 years, 10 years even, without catching more charges, this felony will fall off and it'll act like it never happened. And so the biggest deal I have, the pardon's not stopping anything I'm doing in my life right now. It's not.
It's not, but part of that is because you have your 100% disability. For someone who may not have the benefits that you have, and they have that felony conviction, it prevents them from getting a lot of 100%, jobs 100%. And earning a good wage to where they can better their life. So while it might not directly affect you, it might directly affect someone else.
Exactly.
I can see why.
100%. I see this every day.
If someone has truly reformed in the way that you have, I can see where that would be really, really important.
The next amount of years will prove someone.
They've redeemed themselves.
They're trying to get back to society, and they're trying to do what's right.
Yes.
And so that's my goal this whole time, was like, my wife, she's the greatest supporter of me, because every night I'm doing something. I'm busy somewhere. I'm doing meetings.
Right here, right now.
Everything. And she's been the biggest cheerleader for me this whole time. And it's stressful. It's overwhelming sometimes, but there's always a purpose to it. I keep telling myself. And so if I was able to get the pardon, I wanted to show people with hard work and giving back, this is possible.
Wow.
So even for somebody like me with 24 felonies with drug and violent charges, if I can get that and show people, that could be enough to give someone the incentive to do right.
It gives them the hope.
Exactly. And that's when I'm telling you, someone who's been down like 3 times like me with the amount of felonies I got, there is no hope. It is deflated. There's nothing there.
And what kind of purpose do you really feel like you have?
Exactly.
And I know you brought this up several times, and it's one of the biggest things that I saw when I was doing the suicide prevention work. Especially a military person or any kind of alpha type person, if you don't have a purpose,
you're done.
You're done. And you don't have something where you're out there saving lives or, catching bad guys or whatever the case may be. If you don't have a purpose, it's really hard to get back up on your feet and feel the need to keep going.
I feel like God's been preparing me for this my whole time.
Yeah.
And, the powerful thing I say to people is, people with wounds listen to people with scars. And it's really important for those who have wounds to attach themselves with people with scars, because once through God and through recovery, whatever it is it may be, God will turn those wounds into scars and put you in a position where you're able to go back and help the other. And that's what this is all about.
So, those of you who are not here cannot see that Pam is crying. And let me tell you why Pam is crying. Just yesterday, we had this conversation, and we said that we think that part of the reason we went through our pain is that this is our purpose. And so that pain was for a reason. It was for a purpose. It was so that we can do the work we're doing. That is crazy that you just said that, and she's over there bawling like a baby. Man,
I believe that.
You are an example, and you are the reason that we're doing this kind of podcast. You're a perfect example of somebody thriving after that fire.